If you dream of owning your own tech company and you've got $5 or $6 billion in your checking account, we've got some good news. Investor Beat starts now. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Hill. Slow start to the week as earnings season winds down. Dow Components, Cisco Systems, and Walmart set to report quarterly results later this week. Joining me in studio today, Isaac Pino and Jason Moser. Guys, our top story: Embattled tech company BlackBerry has formed a special committee to evaluate strategic options that include selling the company. Is it too late for the company? Is it too late for investors? What do you think of this news?
Embattled is, I think, a good way.
That's their official name, Embattled tech company, BlackBerry.
It could be like a ticker. I mean, we could figure something out there, but I mean, it seems like we have been thinking about this for a very long time. And when you look at the market share that Apple and that Google have picked up on the smartphone industry, I mean, you look at BlackBerry and they maintain like a 3% at most global market share. So to say this company is now irrelevant, I think is probably an understatement, and I'm not quite sure that getting themselves out there on the market, I just don't know how many buyers they're going to be really.
Speaking of the buyers, what is the best case scenario here if you're BlackBerry? Is it the private equity route, or are you hoping that a tech giant from the public market snaps you up?
Well, yeah, you pose the question as if they have a choice, which I'm hard pressed to find a tech company that really is jumping at the bit to go buy BlackBerry. I mean, you can't see Google with 4 out of 5 smartphones saying we really need BlackBerry incorporated into it. So I think private equity might be the best option for them. And if you listen to their conference calls, the CEO really wants to take the company and move it into kind of the private view. From what he said, he hasn't explicitly come out and say that, but just taking it out of the day-to-day, how many devices have you sold? What is your subscription service right now? Something similar to Dell and what they've tried to do, it takes away some of the pressure from operating the company and allows them to do this long-term growth plan that they're focusing on.
Even with the run-up, and shares were run up a little bit today, even with that run-up, shares are trailing the market year to date somewhere in the neighborhood of 40%. Is this at all a value play for the stock?
I would probably avoid it altogether. I mean, you have to look at what is making up the share price. And I mean, the share price today is basically about half of that is the cash they have on the balance sheet. About another 0.25%, or about another quarter of that is intangibles. And who really knows what that is? I mean, that's kind of like that book of patents and all sorts of things. We don't really know how to value that stuff, Chris. And that's the problem, I think, with most investors out there don't know how to value that. I don't think there are going to be a lot of people beating down on BlackBerry's door because it's a tough one to figure out. They've got something that somebody wants, but I think this is going to probably drag out for a little while. Probably not going to be a lot of buyers. I think they're going to become a desperate seller, and I would just avoid it.
Let's get to some of the day's movers and shakers. Penney trading at heavy volume today. Activist investor Bill Ackman has gone public with his desire to get yet another new CEO in place of now CEO Mike Ullman. We've got Ackman versus the board of directors. Who should we be betting on here?
I don't know, but Ackman seems to treat the CEO role as a bit of a revolving door, and he's looking for someone else. I wouldn't bet on Ackman. I think he's moving into the picture as someone who assumed he knew retail, and so far we've seen that hasn't been the case. Ron Johnson didn't work out. I really think that it kind of reeks of that similarity to Sears Holdings, where Eddie Lampert comes in there, doesn't really know the retail business, then suddenly trying to do all these different things at once, and it doesn't seem to be working out. So I would look to let Bill Ullman run the company, but the board has to fight against Ackman at this point.
Apple is reportedly set to unveil its new version of the iPhone at an event on September 10th. No official comment from Apple, but shares up a little bit on the news. Is this premature, the whole notion that the stock's being bid up based just on this?
Well, just because there's no official comment doesn't mean you can't speculate, right? I mean,
sure.
So we know there probably is going to be an iPhone sort of 5S or whatever that may be coming out. The other thing out there is the iPhone 5C, and who knows whether that C stands for color or for cheap. We're not really sure, but we do have some pretty good substantiating evidence that there will be a cheaper iPhone out there. And I think that's really the direction Apple's going to have to go. Is for so long they have been this premier hardware maker. They've left a lot of market out there, and so really they're going to have to start making that sort of lesser expensive smartphone, which is going to tap into another market for sure. They'll be able to get a lot of volume out of that, but they're certainly going to see a big hit on the margin side for that. So I think it's going to be sort of a new era for Apple as a company, and investors really have to take note of that and see if that's what they want to really be a part of.
Shares of Krispy Kreme Doughnuts on the rise after one analyst upgraded the stock on the belief that second quarter same-store sales will be nearly double previous estimates. You look at the past year, And the return of this stock, I mean, this is not Sparta. This is madness.
Yeah, I mean, Krispy Kreme's tripled since last August, so just a tremendous run. It's a company that outgrew itself. It's just a growth story that was just overrun for many years. They had some accounting issues that they had to deal with, but now they're buying back shares. They're growing at a more approachable level. Still a very competitive market, though, so I don't know, maybe the stock's gotten a little bit ahead of itself so far.
And finally, Dole Foods CEO David Murdock has gotten approval to take the company private at $13.50 a share. I have to believe this means the price of bananas is going up for me. Right? They're going private. They're going to raise prices. My bananas are going to cost more.
Quite possibly, but you know they're going to be better bananas, Chris, okay? So let's at least keep that in mind. This has been a very interesting story, how this company is sort of shaken out. This deal has sort of been in the news here for the last 6 months or so, but it looks like it's going to shake out here. The deal is going to happen. You know, Dole recently got rid of their worldwide packaged foods business, and I think their Japanese fresh fruits business. So really, they're going to focus solely on fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. It's a smaller company, but it's understandable that the owner wants to take it private again. Granted, he's 90 years old, but I think he's really trying to set this business up for maybe generations to come. You know, it's Dole. I mean, you see it in every store you go into. Hey, you're probably having your kids' lunch today.
He's 90 years old, but he's a very healthy guy, and he says he's aiming to live another 35 years. So
well, that's a testament to Dole.
Best of luck. All right, that's going to do it for Monday. Let's look ahead to the rest of the week. What's the stock you've got on your radar?
So I'll be watching Deere & Company. They're reporting earnings on Wednesday. This is a company that owns about 50% of the market share when it comes to agricultural equipment making, and around the world they have opportunities to grow. We're going to look at South America in particular, very hot industry, hot area, Brazil growing quickly, to see how they're doing down there. They've made a lot of investments there.
All right, Jason, what about you?
Been a big cloud hanging over China and Chinese tech investments here this past year, but it seems like that cloud is starting to lift now, and Sina, their earnings come out today after the market closes. There are big things expected with this company. I think part of that is because of a big tie-up with a Chinese e-commerce leader in Alibaba. They took about an 18% ownership there with Sina, and Sina's also responsible for their microblogging site Weibo, which is essentially the Chinese version of Twitter. So big things expected from this earnings quarter. I can't wait to see what they got.
All right, for Jason Moser and Isaac Pino, I'm Chris Hill. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
People on the show may have interest in the stocks they talk about, and the Motley Fool may have formal